Right, hello, welcome back to the channel. We are in my kitchen again for the first time in a long time because today is the day. If you watched my live a couple of days ago, that way maybe some time ago, you know that I got a homebrew beer kit and I did an unboxing on that live, and now today is the day to do the first brew. It's actually the day after that live, but this probably won't be out for a couple of days yet, but none of that matters. I hope the framing's alright. I'm just trying to encapsulate as much of the workable area that I'm going to be using today for that, and I'm going to take you along with me. I have no idea how this video is going to go. It's probably going to be awful. This is probably going to be me talking now and then a cut to a scene in a few minutes time when there is a broken man weeping on the floor and beer ruined and gone everywhere. But anyway, we'll deal with it. Right, don't worry, the video is not ending at this point or anything like that. The brew happens, and I'm not going to say successful because, well, we don't know yet. Let's just say it took a lot longer than anticipated. Now, I'm going to just continue playing the video from now on in, and at the end of what you see of me making it, I'm going to jump back into now and explain about the things that went wrong, why I think they went wrong, and a few bits that I probably didn't do quite correctly. So, you know, try and save your breath from the comments a little bit until the end to tell me I'm doing something wrong, because there's quite a few bits that I'm kind of aware of. But that said, if you have got any helpful information to help me in the future, in the comments below would also be much appreciated. So, let's run the tape and I'll catch you at the end. Apologies for my appearance. I'm not wearing my best today because, well, why would you when doing this for the first time? There's the propensity for stuff to get seriously ruined. So, and so much so that this hook keeps hanging on my jogging bottom pocket, which is not ideal either. So, yeah, I'm just going to keep the camera on, try and explain what I'm doing, hopefully cut this into something that makes sense. It probably won't. I've kind of done a generic kitchen clean down on this side over here. But the next steps are to get the instructions out, get the sanitizer out, and clean everything that we're going to be using. Okay, so I've got my two buckets set up. Because the kit we're doing today is actually a malt extract kit, I don't really need the boiler bucket, which is this one, but I kind of want to test it out for when I do a kind of a whole grain thing. So I'm going to boil the water in this and then just decant it into a jug into this, because the way that this works is you mix the malt extract with some water and then you cool it down basically, and that's it. Just before I get this all sorted and this tap on, I'm going to go and dunk the malt extract, which is in here. Remove the labels off those and go and dump them in some warm water in the sink. Actually, I'll say in the other room. I'm in the kitchen, the sink's right there. So just so it loosens it up a bit and it's easier to get out. Good way to sanitize your taps is dropping them on the floor. Apologies for the noise my boiler's having a hissy fit because I used so much warm water trying to loosen up those malt cans. Fitting this tap is a lot more difficult than they made out on the video. But we're just about there, I think. That's as tight as you're going to get it, I think. Proved wrong, slightly more, there we go, right. Okay, so now onto the sanitizer. What do we do with this? This makes up to 30 gallons, I hope we don't need that much. For household use, that's nice, that's good. Dissolve 1 to 2 teaspoons in a gallon of warm water. Make sure the solution reaches every part of the vessel to be cleaned. 5 to 10 minutes contact is sufficient for normal use. Leave to soak for an additional period in a stronger mixture if it's particularly soiled. So 1 to 2 teaspoons for a gallon, and this is 33 litres to the top. So let's find out what the conversion on that is. That's 7.5 gallons, which means, 7.125 gallons. Shall we say 10 teaspoons? Let's say 10 teaspoons. This is the stuff, by the way. All very interesting. Cleaning solution. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. That's used about half of it, so I reckon we'll get 2 brews out of this little pot. And then what does it say? Warm water. Hold on. warm water. So I now basically need to fill this with warm water to the brim, and I think my intention is I'm going to fill this with warm water, dunk everything we're going to touch, scissors, all the brewing equipment in here for 10 minutes, and I'm going to take those out, set them aside, including washing the lid, use the lid as the base for all of that, and then I'm going to pour that into the boiler vessel, because in theory that one needs a bit less cleaning anyway, because we're boiling the water in it, but just to be sure. So let's get this one on the go. Okay, so all of this stuff that all the utensils and stuff have been in this massive vat of sanitizer now for about 10 minutes. I'm going to transfer this into this one and then leave that for 10 minutes, and then rinse. Well, I'll be rinsing this off while that's doing it, rinse that off, and then we can get some water in that, boiled, and actually start the brew. This is an incredibly heavy, massive jug of boiling water, so get this lined up. Well, it might be easier to use the tap. Let's use the tap. Let's not use the tap. Tap's making way too much mess. There's sanitizer stuff all over the place now, so we have to do it the strong way. I reckon my other half will notice how clean the cupboards are when she gets in. Or at least this side of them. Okay, so everything is now clean and ready to go. I've filled this up about halfway with boiling water because, I mean, I'm probably not going to need more than half of one. So I'm going to get that on the go now. I'm going to have to turn the extractor on, so I'm going to turn the camera off again because, well, you don't quite literally want to stand around watching water boil. So we'll get that boiled. We need 3 litres of it in there to start with, and then we'll mix the malt extract in. Okay, it is pretty much boiled now, so the next step is to 3 litres of that in there, and then grab the malt extract and mix it all up. Right, 3 litres is in. Apologies for most of this video, my head's going to be cut off. Tubs of malt extract. Let's get this open. Been sat bathed in hot water. It's not that hot anymore though, unfortunately. Don't want to get this stuff on your clothes, but oh, it smells like a mix of beer and honey, which is only be a good thing. Right, let's get this poured in here. One. This kit's a lager kit, so it only needs 2 tubs of this. Some of their other ones, I think, are 3. I think there's even a double IPA that's 3 and some extra sugars as well. I know this, since this is my first brew, I'm not going to mess around with it, but I'll be honest, the temptation to go a bit crazy and chuck like a packet of biscuits in here or something else as a extra additive is strong, but I'll behave, I won't do it today. But trust me when I say biscuit beer is coming, assuming this goes well. Bit of water in here, swirl it round, try and get everything out. While that just gets a bit more off, we'll get the next one on the go. Look at that. And into the vat. The way this glues, it looks like a horror movie special effects scene. Right. Oh, bit of water spray there, okay, let's smoosh, smoosh, smoosh. I'll leave that in because that's going in there anyway. Chuck that in. they're pretty clean, I think you'll agree. There's a tiny bit around the edges, but not a lot. And I'm just going to try and get what I can off the lids, because this one in particular, it's got a fair bit stuck. And the more of this stuff we get in, well, the more alcohol is going to be in it, and the more taste is going to be in it. So, and next on the instructions. So I've got to give this a good stir now. It does smell good, I have to say. You want to get nicely sloshed around, get it all mixed up. Don't want any heavy bits of the syrup still left in the bottom. And I'm going to give those cans another quick rinse out because, well, the instructions said to do it properly, so I reckon we can get a little bit more out of these if we try. And give it some more stir. And based on the texture, I'm pretty sure that this is there or thereabouts good to go, but there's nothing sticking to the paddle. Right, already now we need to top it up to 20 litres with cold water to try and balance the temperature out, and so I'm just going to run back and forth with like 15 times with this and pick up in a moment. Okay, so it's full to 20 litres now. I'm just going to give this another stir, make sure the temperature is equalised in there. I'm going to take a reading, and then we need to fill it up to 23 degrees, but using hot, cold, or both, depending on where it sits in the minute. It needs to be between 18 and 22, apparently. I'm feeling slightly more confident now. Yesterday I was very, very uncertain of what I was doing with all this. This seems pretty straightforward at the moment. There is some hop extract to go in as well. I'm not sure at what point that is, but it's not yet, so it's either right now or just when we get to 23. Okay. Yeah, just check the hop solution goes in, the hop extract goes in at 23 litres, so we're good for a minute. Right, thermometer. Ambient temperature in this room, 23 on there. That's not surprising given it's next to a very warm vat. And we are in. Right, I'm going to dump some more water in here, get it equalled out, and then we'll be back. Okay, up to 23 litres now. Just another stir to equalise, and really hope that the temperature is okay because we don't have any more room for correction. But it was about 26 before, and I've not added that much more, so in theory, it's saying 24. So we're a couple of degrees above what we want, but that's probably due in part to being sat next to this other vat of very warm water. So what we're going to do is take that out, just let this sit open for 5 minutes before we put the hop extract in, and eventually the yeast. The temperature is critical for the yeast rather than the hop extract, I believe, so not the end of the world, but we'll get on with it. Right, it's been a couple of hours actually since the last clip. We couldn't get the temperature down very easily at all, so when we got it up to 23, I can't really remember what we last filmed, but when we got it up to 23 litres, the temperature was a bit above. We left it for a bit, it just wasn't budging, so put it in a sink, surrounded by cold water for a bit, it boiled it down a bit, and then he went as far as packing his ice cubes next to it. But we're down at 22, so we can carry on, which means we're using this, which is isomerized hop solution. I don't know if I pronounced that right, but it's basically hop extract. And the instructions say, add this, and then basically just give it a damn good stirring. Vigorously for 2 minutes. It smells a bit hoppy, I was expecting a bit more from that, but here we go. And it's in, and now we stir. Alexa, set a timer for 2 minutes.
2 minutes, starting now.
Right, that's now all stirred in, so now we need to take our hydrometer reading, which tells us the kind of starting sugar content, so we can later work out what our finished sugar content is and work out what the ABV is as a result. So let's take a little measure in this tube. I don't want to waste it. that, about 2/3. There might be a touch over on that, but not a bad colour to start with for a lager actually. So this just works on buoyancy, so we stick it in, and we can do it over here with this towel just in case it goes everywhere. So in theory, where we find out if we've used too much. No, that was a perfect amount. So they say you spin it to get rid of any bubbles, and then you have to carefully take a reading when it's in the middle, which is much easier said than done. I think it's 1.47. Okay, so we've set on a hydrometer reading of 1.46, I think, or it's 1.046. I need to double check how the reading is, but I know where it was on the measure anyway. I'm just a bit intrigued as to what this smells and tastes like. I know there are some beverages around the world that are basically wort, which is what this pre-beer mash is, mixed with various other things. Now, apparently it's not the most delightful thing in the world, but to be honest, that just smells a bit like honey water. Let's give it a go. It's weirdly nice, sweet, and also incredibly bitter all at the same time. It's you won't want to drink a lot of it, but if that levels out a bit and has some booze added, I think that could be a really good beer. So now we need to pitch the yeast, which just means open the yeast packet and kind of spread over the top. It says sprinkle contents directly onto a maximum of 23 litres, which is exactly what we have, of water at 18 to 20 degrees. You got to be kidding. Right, back to the thermometer. Let's find out if this come down anymore, or we in luck, or I'm going to have to stand here for more hours of my life. Right, another hour has passed. It's this half an hour alleged brew has now taken 4 hours. And yeah, anyway, so I'm just going to cut the top off this. Nothing's touched it. And with a little bit of luck now, get all of the top covered. Stuff is happening, if you can see in there. The yeast is doing its thing. Right, so that's done now. All we need to do is get this lid secure and the airlock into place. So we'll do that first. Just push that into that grommet on the top. And once this is all done, we need to half fill that with water so nothing can get into it. Right, now just before I pop this, where it's going to live for the next 10 to 14 days, I'm going to take the airlock off. It looks like a screw cap, but it's not. And fill these to the halfway line. And that is where our brew ends, begins, whatever you want to call it. That is where the video that was recorded last night as of time now ended. It took me 4 hours to get that into that position, and it didn't go all that swimmingly really, given it was meant to be allegedly a half an hour cook. Now, what took so long? So boiling the water in the Pecco boiler rather than just using a kettle, I didn't need to do, and that added half an hour to the time because I was waiting for, well, I boiled too much water to be honest and did that. But that's only half an hour more, so that's not everything to blame. The biggest problem was I couldn't get the temperature down in the fermentation vessel, and the reason for that I think was that I'd put 3 litres in as they recommended. The room was quite warm because obviously it had the huge Pecco boiler going in there, and we'd have to cook some food in there, so it was just, you know, the room was, it wasn't hot, but it was, the ambient temperature in the room was kind of 25, so Trying to get it below that was proving tricky. And lastly, I rinsed the malt extract tubs out twice with boiling water. So, I mean, even though I wasn't putting huge amounts in, that was still, you know, a good litre or so more of boiling water than there should have been, which ultimately I think was the problem. So when I put the yeast in at the end, it was probably actually at 21 degrees rather than the flat 20. But to be honest, I was just tired. We couldn't leave it out all night, so I just went for it. The good news is that fermentation is happening in the vessel now. It seems to be going okay, and I'm quietly optimistic still. I think we did everything right, just a lot slower than we should have done. The one thing that I know we didn't do right was the I've forgotten the name of it now because I can never remember. The measuring vessel for the alcohol. You know, the floaty thing in the tube. Anyway, just the word escapes me. But yeah, I should have set that down on a counter. The top comes off and sticks to the bottom, and you can stick it down, and so you can get an accurate reading. But the reading I took is not a significant jump away from what they expect it to be in their instructions, so we think we're okay. So the next update on this is going to be a week or 10 days from now, depending on obviously how it's doing and when that video comes out. But yeah, stay tuned. Hopefully it's going to go okay. It smells good as well where it's brewing at the minute, so that's got to be a good sign. Right, that is everything for this video. As always, thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like it. If you haven't already, subscribe if you would be so kind, and I'll catch you next time. Cheers.